Jews. And if you are a foundational Black American, if you are somebody from the diaspora, I need you to lean in close. Malcolm X dreamed that one day we would be an international community and knew that the fastest way to get justice for us was to take the Paul Robeson route and take our case before the international governing body of the UN. Well, what a lot of people don't understand, especially in the diaspora, is that African folks in these governing bodies have been putting in the work to create justice for us and include us in initiatives that can uplift the continent. And because of the echo chamber that we are in, that information, that help has largely been kept away from our awareness, but no more. After Mike Brown got killed in Ferguson about a decade ago, his parents went to speak at the United Nations, and a coalition of African nations got together and did an investigation and found that Black Americans were not only owed reparations, but the treatment that has been done to us meet almost every criterion that defines genocide and crimes against humanity. So on the international scale, African folks have role for us in that respect. Not only that, but a lot of folks don't realize that the African Union has 5 continental regions, but the diaspora is the 6th region. And that there is a seat of power at the international table waiting for us from the diaspora if we so choose to take it and start thinking globally about our lot in life being connected to Africa's lot in life. Like from our foundational Black American family, how many of y'all on a daily basis even be thinking about the African Union? Well, the African Union be thinking about you. In fact, every year, the African Union chooses a theme. And this year's theme is justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. I mean, it literally says it right there in writing. It says, this initiative underscores the AU's commitment to addressing historical injustices, including the transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, apartheid, and genocide. It builds on decades of advocacy and collaboration, aiming to foster unity and establish mechanisms for reparatory justice on the global scale. You see, when we think about reparations for Black folks in America, a lot of times we only think about it within the borders of America. But the fact is, if you look at the countries who ever got reparations, including, let's just focus on, for example, the Jews after the Holocaust, it was an international effort to get them reparations locally. If you look at the Japanese who got reparations in the 1980s from Ronald Reagan, the Japanese didn't get those reparations right after the bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They got those reparations after Japan became a global power and gained international leverage strong enough to demand reparations for the Japanese Americans in the internment camp. In other words, if you look at the strategy for reparations, it would have to be a strategy that included the global African family for a specific African group. We got the what defined. We know reparations are owed. Hell, I don't even argue with people. I don't even go back and forth with folks who don't think we're owed reparations. I always tell them it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how much, because based on the legal precedent set by every single reparations settlement that has ever been settled, Black Americans are owed reparations. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of scale, right? The what is defined. The how is what needs work. You see, reparations, more than a matter of morality, it's a matter of power. And we know that there is power in numbers and that there is no individual power without group power. And the African Union understands that and is reaching out to form solidarity with us to create mutual investment pathways so that as Africa rises in its ability to project power, that power can be projected on our behalf. Folks will say, well, that sounds good, but bro, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Well, did you know that there's a group of folks who's willing to do that for you, Black folks in the diaspora? That's right. You see, everybody in the hood know there are other peoples of color that get to come in and invest and build businesses in your neighborhood, right? You got the Indians and the Arab folks and the Chinese, Koreans, they get to come in, and because they have capital investments from the banks, from the nations that they're from, They already come in with leverage and abilities financially to do things that you can't do. And you think to yourself, wouldn't it be nice if there was a bank that could do that for black folks? Turns out there is. So if you are in the diaspora and you're a hustler, entrepreneur, somebody to know how to get some money, if they got some money, listen up. There is an organization called the African Diaspora Network, and they just opened the AFDIF, the African Diaspora Innovation Fund. What is that? The African Diaspora Innovation Fund is a bold initiative by the African Diaspora Network in partnership with Myriad USA. Together, we aim to mobilize philanthropic capital to support African and African descendant social entrepreneurs with grants of up to $25,000. You see, we know for a fact that without generational wealth, that which has been stolen from us by force,